For centuries, a problem has plagued humanity. How to not cry when cutting onions. I can already feel it. The internet is full of suggestions of what you should do, but I don't think this should be the solution to cutting onions. A viral hack that's been floating around to prevent that onion cutting suffer is a wet paper towel. Just set the wet paper towel right next to where you're cutting. The wet paper towel is supposed to attract all that sulfuric acid to the moisture in the paper towel instead of in your eyes. So far, so good. Not feeling anything. The paper towel is actually doing its job. I can smell the onion still and sense a little bit of it in my eye, but not as bad as it was when I just cut the onion by itself. This may seem odd, but a better way to clean your ceiling fans is with a pillowcase. In a spray bottle, I just mix distilled white vinegar and distilled water. Just gonna spray this on the inside and on the edge of the pillowcase. Slide this over to trap all that dust and wipe the blades clean. Now all that dust and dirt is trapped inside the pillowcase, not my hair and not on the floor. And when you're done, just shake that pillowcase inside out over a trash can. And what you can do is just give a final wipe down with a damp cloth. Especially when the garlic is fresh, that peel is so tight to the clove, the microwave can help loosen things up. For an average size bulb, you'll need about 20 seconds in the microwave. Just a few seconds, that little bit of steam inside there to help loosen things up. Garlic skins can get a little messy, so I like to do this on a paper towel or on a plate. You may want these to cool slightly. Now it's the same peeling procedures, but that skin should be less sticky. Much easier cleanup. You can also do this on individual cloves. Just cut off the bottom first in a microwave safe bowl, and you may only need 10 to 15 seconds. Super easy peel. These shoes are dripping and wet, and I don't want them on my feet. To prevent our shoes from even getting wet in the first place, we're gonna try out a method I've seen trending online. All we'll need is candle wax. I'm just gonna use a plain candle, unscented, rub it all over. This works best on shoes with canvas material. Don't do this method on shoes with a mesh. The wax won't seal them. You can see that candle wax melts right in. The water just beads right off. Instead of risking losing a finger with a slippery cutting board, just use rubber bands. Just slip a couple rubber bands over the edge to provide some traction. If you only have thin rubber bands, add a couple to each end. That extra bit of stability did the trick. For a non-slip hanger, just wrap a rubber band around a couple times. Now that's a little extra grip on that hanger. Well, that really does help. Pretty nifty. Also, if you're dealing with clammy hands, get a grip. Stretch that rubber band over. That feels secure. There we go. A peeler like this is such a common kitchen tool, but it holds a couple secrets. There's a blade on both sides, so speed up peeling and use a back and forth motion. Instead of one motion at a time, use a back and forth. Veggie noodles are so trendy, but you don't need a spiralizer. You can make vegetable ribbons just with your peeler. Thin strips or wider ribbons. Or use this method for paper thin slices. It helps to give it a quarter turn every slice. Now that's a double-edged sword. After a day in the sun, the result is sunburns and soggy swimsuits. And you may just think, throw it in the dryer or let it set out in the sun, but that's gonna ruin your swimsuit quickly over time. You wanna make sure you rinse out your swimsuit either by showering off or running it under cool water. This will help get rid of any chlorine, salt water, anything inside your swimsuit. Avoid wringing out your swimsuit. That's gonna stretch the fabric and make it lose its shape. The best way to get that swimsuit dry is to lay it over a clean towel. Gently roll it up. This method is especially helpful for women's swimsuits that can easily lose their shape. Now it's not damp anymore. Keep it flat for the most surface area and lay it out of the sun. Having your swimsuit in the sun will bleach it out and discolor it over time. And you can even give it a little flip. Spas and resorts usually have a spinning machine that'll quickly dry your swimsuit, but I have a DIY version. No joke, a salad spinner. You can find inexpensive versions to dedicate to your pool to dry swimsuits. Load in that wet suit, slap the lid on, and get to spinning. That centrifugal force will wring out all the water. Yes, this is a little wacky, but it really does work. That was so much fun. Ooh, splash. I'm not baking bunts every day, but this pan can help you with your corn game. Place the cob in the center, and you'll need a good sharp knife. Just be careful when you reach the end to avoid damaging the pan. I also try to leave a little bit of the stem intact for stability. This is the perfect pan to keep those kernels from falling away from me. If you don't have a bundt pan, you can achieve the same thing with two bowls, a smaller one and a larger one. These can be any two types of bowls. You can even do this with a bowl upside down in a baking dish. And we're catching kernels, not feelings. Now this makes me want to make cornbread in my bundt pan. You may have seen a viral trend that makes straining easier, and nope. That's not it. It's as simple as just putting the strainer on top instead of pouring the pasta into the sink. Just like that, all the pasta water's gone and all you're left with is pasta and none in the sink. Your baking sheet should look like this. not this. You could sit here and scrub for hours with soap and water, but why do that? First, reach for some baking soda. We'll also need hydrogen peroxide. Just sprinkle some baking soda on, and then add hydrogen peroxide. Just enough to turn the baking soda into a paste. Then you want to rub that mixture all around. This mixture really does wonders to break up all that gunk without the need to scrub. Let this sit for 15 to 30 minutes. For older baking sheets that are really caked on, let those sit overnight. All there's left to do is rinse. It basically rinses right away. And just like that, our baking sheet looks like new. Oop. Too salty. But with a potato, we can fix that. I'm gonna get this peeled. Now this goes right into that hot pot. Let this cook until it's tender. That potato's gonna absorb extra salt and liquid. This potato trick is ideal for anything liquidy, like soups and stews. Once that potato's tender, you can remove it. You can also replace the lost liquid. That'll help dilute the salt as well. Even with these pour spouts, you still get drips. This happens because water adheres to the outside of the glass. For the fix, all you need is candle wax. Rub wax right on the lip of the glass. Make sure you give it a good coating. Now when you pour, nothing's dripping. You can also use petroleum jelly. It's not magic, it's just science. Air quality can be worse during certain times of the year, and that can even affect air inside your home. Here's how to make an air purifier out of a box fan. Now, you may already have a box fan at home, but if not, they're easy to find and affordable. All you need is a high-quality air filter and some packing tape. Simply put the air filter in front of the fan. Just make sure the airflow in the filter is facing outward. Securely tape on all the sides. This will circulate air inside the room and clean it at the same time. Now, you may not need to use an air purifier like this all the time. A good way to keep track of air quality is just to use a weather app. These are best to use in individual rooms when air quality is poor. This might be my new favorite way to cut open a mango. A mango is always easier to cut if it's nice and ripe, so a little soft to the touch and nice and fragrant. Make a cut in the center, all the way around that pit. If that mango's nice and ripe, this should be easy work, just gently twist. And then I like to use a spoon just to scoop everything out. Here's the more traditional method if you're looking for chunks. Cut a little bit off the stem side and cut along the side of that pit. If you feel that pit, cut just on the side of it. Score the mango just down to the skin, not all the way through, and switch to a paring knife or a smaller knife if that works easier for you. Push it out, and you'll see all those cubes. You can peel them by hand, that's easy. Eat it right out of the skin, or use your knife. Another trick you can try is once you have the half of the mango, use a cup to peel it. The cup's gonna act like a big spoon. Scoop it right out. Here's how to get sand off your skin. Even after a rinse, there's still sand left over. The next time you head to the beach, bring some baby powder. After an air dry, baby powder will absorb any remaining moisture, and that annoying sand will brush right off, leaving your skin dry and smooth. What's great is my towel's still dry. If you don't have baby powder, try cornstarch instead. A long pair of chopsticks or cooking chopsticks can actually be a versatile kitchen tool. You use them the same way you use regular tongs, and when you get good at it, it can actually give you more precision. You can use them for preparing foods instead of a fork, use them to beat eggs. Whip it and whip it good. I love learning new techniques and using new tools in the kitchen. These are wooden and safe to use on any cookware. You may think this is a lot of butter. Yes, because I don't want these eggs to stick. Ooh, nice, buttery, fluffy eggs. And they can be a great helpful tool for sauteing and pan frying. These are also a great tool if you're working with pasta. These can really work like a pair of tweezers when you're looking for precision making your recipe. Now that's what I call precision in the kitchen. Losing items in hard to reach spots doesn't have to suck, or does it? If you find yourself in this kind of pickle, reach for your vacuum hose, but you don't want those items sucked up into the chamber. First, you'll need a lightweight, breathable fabric like cheesecloth or even a very thin sock, and a rubber band. This will be your barrier to catch items but allow for maximum suction. This method is ideal for small, lightweight objects, especially when you have to go against gravity. Even if you're not an egg fan, this slicer can be used for other food items. Works great for slicing mushrooms. After you get your slice, you can rotate your mushroom to get more of a dice, or julienne. But little matchsticks of your mushrooms. Any food that's soft enough and small, like a strawberry, works too. You might be wondering how much it costs to fix your stand mixer. Well, only 10 cents. First, attach the paddle. Then, drop a dime. These machines are calibrated with a 1/16 of an inch clearance on the bottom to get all those ingredients, and a dime happens to be that exact same size. If the paddle's not making any contact, like this right here, it needs to be lowered. But If it's scraping, then it needs to be raised. And you can fix that right here. By turning this screw right here, it'll raise or lower your beater for perfect mixing. Proper calibration is where that paddle just lightly taps the top of that dime around the bowl. The trick to fluffy pancakes is all about the eggs. You're gonna separate the egg yolk and that egg white. No broken yolks, no broken yolks. Add milk and some melted butter. Then with these, we want super whipped up fluffy egg whites that we're gonna fold in at the end. You can do this by hand, but I prefer power tools. Just whip up those egg whites till they're soft and fluffy. I'm gonna mix everything together. Don't overmix, pancake batter should be lumpy. Finally, those fluffy egg whites. Just fold it in. I like to do this trick, just unwrap half of it and butter up your pan. From scratch, our box mix, just whip up those egg whites for the best pancakes. This is more like a magic trick, but you use garlic to pick up an egg yolk with your fingers. Rub that garlic all over your clean fingers. Here goes nothing. This isn't the most practical way to separate egg yolks, but it is fun, and I've had success with eggs with darker yolks. A little less messy and foolproof method is a water bottle, but it's gotta be empty. Now it's just as easy as making a suction. All-purpose scissors are affordable enough to replace, or a simple DIY sharpening solution. All you need is the exposed ceramic edge of a mug or bowl. Simply follow the angle of the cutting edge and slide it across that exposed ceramic. It should help smooth out that edge for better cutting. After you do that a few times, you can do a test on some paper. If you are having trouble cutting, it could also be rust and residue. Quick solution, my good buddy, DWV. Carefully wipe and clean. You can even let them soak for a little bit if they're really bad. It's also important to use the right tool for the job. Scissors are gonna be smaller with those uniform holes for simple, light work. So don't try to slice through anything thick with those delicate scissors. Shears are usually heavy duty, bigger, and used for tough materials. I've only got one of these clips and all these snacks. Which one gets it? The internet is full of tricks to seal snack bags without the need of a clip. This is one of the more silly ones, so let's give it a try. Cut a V, and then the tip says to tie these two ends together. I'm impressed, this worked way better than I thought. Get all the air out of the bag, and you're gonna wanna fold a triangle. Then fold the opposite direction. This will create a little flap that you'll tuck under. Do the same thing on the other side. Just like that, you've got a tight seal, nothing's coming out of there. Here's how to take a pair of regular tongs and turn them into a cleaning tool that'll make your life way easier. You're gonna need 2 cheap sponges and some rubber bands. Just attach the sponge to each end of the tong. You'll need about 2 rubber bands per side. Just make sure it's not a dry sponge. I just wet this, squeezed it out, and now it's ready for the tongs. I like this sponge method, but you can also do the same thing with a clean rag. Now we're ready to clean. It's gonna be just this easy. Done. Well, even though you're going one at a time, it goes really quick. Look at all that dirt we're picking up. For an even better clean, you can make a simple dusting spray. Just grab a funnel and fill a spray bottle about halfway with distilled water. If you don't have a funnel, I'm gonna show you how to hack one out of some parchment paper. You just need a square shape and roll that up into a cone. Now just add some distilled white vinegar. Avoid pouring down the seam and you'll get a clean funnel action. Top that off with a few drops of essential oil. Before you use the spray, just give it a shake. Now I'm not just dusting, I'm actually cleaning. If these get too dirty, just give them a little rinse, squeeze them out, and you can use them again. You can do the same technique with a clean sock. Getting there. Cutting a cake with a knife and all that frosting gets really messy. And mini blades aren't long enough for one clean cut. So I'm gonna set that knife aside and floss it. And it's best to use unflavored. Start with a piece long enough to go across your cake. Wrap around your finger just like you were flossing your teeth. One clean cut all the way through, and to avoid any mess, slide it on out. Look at those edges, so clean. Here's how to remove that stuck-on residue. On materials like plastic and metal, reach for WD-40. Spray a little of that onto a rag and scrub away that goo. Should come up without a ton of effort. Go ahead and use a dry part of that rag to clean up any excess. That stuff works great on this, but for surfaces you don't want to use WD-40 on, you can also use alcohol. Just soak some up in a clean rag and get rid of that sticky mess. When you're using the alcohol, you may need to dab some on, let it soak in, and then keep scrubbing. An old gift card or a plastic putty knife can also help you scrape away that mess. Rubbing alcohol to loosen, and this card to scrape it away. Finish up and just wipe away anything else that's sticky All that alcohol, this has never been more clean. Peelers are great, but their design doesn't work for all fruits and vegetables. A go-to kitchen technique is to simply scrape the skin off with a spoon. You wouldn't think so, but a little light pressure will scrape that skin right off. A spoon will make it easy to peel in crevices and around those nubs. Now that's getting your money's worth, ready for slicing, grating, right into your recipe. Also use a spoon to peel kiwis. Cut both ends off the kiwi, put the spoon between the skin and the fruit, and gently move around. You'll feel it separating and going all the way through. Just like that. I'm gonna show you how to get your cut flowers to last longer. This is an old standard, but you always wanna cut your ends before you put them in fresh water. You're gonna also wanna pick off some of those lower leaves, any of those leaves that might touch the water inside. Now you can fill your vase up with fresh, clean water. Now here's the secret. To the water, you're gonna wanna add a touch of bleach. Just a drop will do. That little bit of bleach in the water will inhibit the growth of bacteria, which will keep your flowers beautiful. And if you're of age, you can party with your flowers with a little bit of vodka instead of the bleach. Cut flowers still need food, so add a little bit of sugar to keep them happy, healthy, and looking good. Clear lemon lime soda works just great in replacement of granulated sugar. Refresh that water every couple days or if it starts to look cloudy. The quick fix before things get bad, clear nail polish. This stuff will act a little bit like glue. Just need a little dab on the head of the nail, around the sides, and a little on the bottom. Once it's dry, it'll prevent that screw from falling through. Even if you're not using this for your nails, it still comes in handy. If you're any kind of glasses wearer, sunglasses, eye protection, a little tiny set of screwdrivers is necessary. I always keep a tiny one like this on me, especially when traveling. You may not be so lucky and lose that screw entirely. My favorite quick fix? Dental floss. This will work great to get you by until you can get a replacement screw or a new pair of glasses. Thread the floss through the hole, tie a knot, you can even double it up. A temporary fix, but back in business. I'm gonna start with a bowl full of ice, that standard metal soup ladle, and a bowl with some towels in it. I like to turn off the heat and let that pot cool slightly. Scoop some ice into the ladle and let it get nice and cold. Now gently run the ladle over the surface of the soup. The ladle's cold enough for those fat particles to solidify and stick. You just want the bottom of the ladle to skim the surface to pick up that fat and then wipe off the bottom to get all that extra oil out. As that ice melts, you'll just want to grab a new scoop and drain off any excess water. While a little fat is great for flavor and richness, this will definitely help you remove all that excess. Here's a new snack that's fun to make at home. You'll need some sticky rice, which I usually have left over in the fridge. Wet your hands so the rice doesn't stick. Take your sticky rice, you need about a half a cup to start. A common filling is a tuna salad, but there's also egg salad, chicken salad, really any kind of filling that sticks together works best. Form a disc and make a little indent in the center. Add a small amount of your filling in the center. Gently shape everything into a little ball. These are mostly shaped in triangles, so cup your hands and form a little pyramid. You can find roasted seaweed snack sheets in just about any grocery store these days. But I like the full-size sheets of nori, and you can cut them to the right size. And just wrap it up. To store these, you can just use a little bit of plastic wrap. Just wrap the rice and keep the seaweed separate so it doesn't get too soggy. A little something different to add to that snack lineup. These juicers are a handy way to squeeze as much as you can out of those lemons and limes. There's another kitchen device to help give you the most juice output. My good friend, microwave. 20 seconds should do it. 20 to 30 seconds, heating that up will get those juices flowing. Rock and roll to break up all the fibers inside. Ooh, it's already dripping out. Softer, easier to squeeze, and way more juice. This also can make it easier when you're hand juicing. The microwave is a great way to coax more juice out if your citrus is a little smaller or a little older. For smaller lemons and limes, you may need less time, like 15 to 20 seconds. Use caution, your lemon may be a little toasty. And don't throw these away, you can actually use them to clean your microwave, your sink, and other things too. These blenders are convenient to use, but not convenient to clean. And the blades are the worst part. This is the no hassle method to get your blender clean. You just need some warm water, fill it up halfway, you don't even need to rinse it first. Click that blender back in place and add some dish soap. Then let it blend. Pop it open and pour it all out. Everything just needs a rinse. No need to scrub those blades. That's as simple as blend and rinse. Foil, parchment, and plastic wrap are helpful in the kitchen, but are you using them correctly? First off, this can happen. The tube comes out. The fix is already built into the box. It's right here. All you do is push this tab in. By doing this on both sides, this locks the roll in place. And then this can happen. Kidding me. Instead of doing this, do this instead. tuck the lid inside. This will get you a cleaner cut every time. And if dealing with plastic wrap is a hassle, try this. Plastic wrap in the freezer is actually a little easier to handle. It's less sticky. Room temperature plastic wrap sticks to itself and is difficult to work with. The cold stuff, let me tell you, it's so much easier to handle. I don't think this sponge is gonna be enough, and there's not enough elbow grease in the world. For a tough mess like this, a standard sponge is not gonna be enough to cut it. I'm gonna show you the secret tool. Aluminum foil. You just need to ball this up and use it as a scrubber. This stuff will be abrasive enough for those stuck-on messes. Just scrub lightly and all that should come right up. And this works especially well for cleaning cast iron. And for a grill pan, it'll form to those grates. Foil can also do the job cleaning up those barbecue grills. Don't use this trick on non-stick or enamel pans. Metal, of course, can ruin the coating on these types of pans. If you have a tough to open jar, I've got a trick. Duct tape. You'll need a 6-inch to 8-inch piece. Stick the duct tape to the edge of the lid, fold down about 2 inches to the top of the lid, fold the rest of the tape over to make a handle. It doesn't have to look pretty, but this will give you the leverage you need to open that jar. With a firm grip on the jar, just ratchet that lid counterclockwise. It worked! Let's try that again. Ta-da! And pickle jars can be the worst. If one layer of the tape is stretching or rips, double it up. When you're pulling, make sure to pull up and slightly away. You can also use a grip using your thumb as leverage. This technique can really help, especially for jars of sticky stuff. I'm gonna spread a little peanut butter into the center of both sides. A little peanut butter on both sides will prevent the jelly from making the bread soggy. Dot dot, not a lot, you don't wanna overfill. Sandwich. Now for the fun, you just need a glass or a cup. And press down. The cup should seal the edges, but you can always give it an extra crimp. Use a fork and gently press around the edges. Don't let this go to waste, make breadcrumbs or even croutons. You can use any alternative spread like almond or sun butter. You can even make fun versions with marshmallow fluff or thinly sliced bananas. You controlling the quality of ingredients makes it even better. You can make these ahead of time, individually wrap them, even freeze them. Canned fruits and vegetables can get real messy on a cutting board. You can keep the mess inside the can and use shears. Scissors are the key to keep it simple and clean. If it's something packed in liquid, you can drain it first. Get these chopped up from my famous dip recipe. Reach for your scissors instead of that knife for herbs, green onion, hard to cut proteins like bacon and shrimp. I've worn glasses pretty much my whole life, and I picked up a few bonus tips along the way. A good test is to see if your glasses sit balanced on a flat surface. Frames are pretty brittle. If you try and bend this by hand, you may break it, but with a little heat, it'll be pliable enough to shape and adjust. Adjusting the ear will help if your glasses are loose, shake, and fall off. Be sure to make only minor adjustments at a time. A little goes a long way. Adjusting the corners will help balance them. Try your best to avoid applying heat to the lenses. Now we found some balance in the force. Always keep a spare pair of cheap sunglasses handy. That way I'm not sacrificing my expensive sunglasses on a roller coaster or in the ocean. Extra cases can be repurposed as convenient organizers. If you're a prescription wearer like me and you have a pair of old frames, check with your eye care center. They should have a program that repurposes these for people in need. From pasta to curries, food containers are notorious for being hard to clean. The containers get stained and leave behind a greasy film. To fix this mess, we're gonna try a viral trend with a paper towel and dish soap. Add a dash of soap, some warm water, and then some paper towels. Just rip up a few pieces and put them in. Put your lid on top, and we're gonna shake. You'll need to do this for about a minute and rinse it out. And it didn't work. Wah wah. One thing you can try is soap and some baking soda. Give that baking soda a good scrub inside. The soap helps cut through that grease, and the baking soda is mildly abrasive, which should help remove that stain. To help prevent those stains in the first place, try some cooking spray inside your container before you add your leftovers. Stain containers might be inevitable, but with a little bit of elbow grease and some prevention, you can keep these containers looking like new. Remove any remaining food and fill with water. Cover any residue or just an inch or so shy from the top. Add your favorite dish soap, shut it, and let it clean itself. Set it to low, then let it do its thing for an hour or up to 4 hours for really tough messes. Steam will help clean everything and that soap will break down all the greasy residue. After the time is done, just unplug it, let it cool completely, and all it needs is a quick rinse. For another cleaning method, you can use my ride or die baking soda and vinegar. Add water. For a large slow cooker, you'll need about a cup of vinegar. Add the baking soda in slowly so it doesn't fizz up too much. Lid it, set it, forget it. Actually, don't forget it. Set this on low for about an hour to 4 hours. Same deal. When the time is done, unplug it, let it cool, rinse it off, and you've got a clean crock. Let's use common kitchen tools in different ways. I'm in the mood for a fiesta, so today it's guacamole. You can find a bunch of specialty tools for slicing and dicing avocados, but if you have a wire rack, you can use that. With the skin on, we'll just press it through. What I found helps here is to slide it through. Cleanup's really easy. You can quickly rinse it off, or I even throw mine in the dishwasher. In my kitchen, I tend to stay away from tools that just have one purpose, like a citrus juicer. You can achieve the same juicing action just by squeezing with a pair of tongs. For extra leverage, place that citrus near the middle and a firm squeeze. And when it comes to lemons, I like to squeeze them right side up to avoid those seeds. Your slicer can be a great go-to for herbs. I'm working with cilantro, but this works great on parsley, basil, just about anything. Most of the times you're mashing guacamole with a fork, but if you're dealing with a big batch, reach for that potato masher. Keeping your tires in good condition is so important for road safety, and the depth of your tread is an indicator of the life of the tire. This process is really affordable. It only costs a penny. This couldn't get any simpler. You just stand the coin up in the tread, and Lincoln's head will be your measuring tool. If the tread depth doesn't go from the bottom of the coin past Lincoln's head, it's time to look at getting new tires. Do this to take some measurements at different points around the tire, and repeat this around the car for all your tires. This is also a good time to check your tires overall for any cracks or nails, anything that could be a potential problem. Matches and stick lighters are convenient, but what if you don't have one? You can use a cotton swab as a tiny torch. Now I can light that candle. Candle lit. Nobody likes a wet noodle, but what about a lit noodle? A noodle can hold a flame and give you extra extension. Petroleum jelly is the perfect fuel to get that flame to last a little longer. Now that's a true torch. Just be sure you have some water to quickly extinguish the flame. Problem solvers, just make sure if you're getting lit, you do it responsibly. This one's fun and super simple. Add your chips to a bag. You know me, I love a reusable bag. And you wanna leave some extra room in there too. Seal it up and leave a little gap at one end. Insert a straw. Now I promised you fun. Blow air into the bag as you quickly seal it. This may seem a little ridiculous, but it's gonna be effective. That air will act as a cushion so those chips don't get crushed. It's the same reason those store bags have extra air in them. And of course, pack those lightweight crunchable items on top. The other go-to, just use a hard-shelled container. Over time, broom bristles can get loose and worn out. Sweeping is gonna be most effective when those bristles are close and tight together. An easy solution? Rubber bands. All you need to do is use that elastic to hold all those bristles in place. That is it. That's all it takes, and you have firm, effective bristles. If your broom is wider and one band just won't stretch, you might need multiple rubber bands. Attach them together like this, and attach a paper clip to each end. Now you've made a nifty latch you can secure around wider brooms. Now this broom's gonna work just like new. You ever notice some peaches twist right open, while others hold tight to that pit? What we have here is freestone versus clingstone, and it doesn't matter how ripe it is. Unfortunately, you can't just tell from the outside. And most grocery stores don't say it on the label, but it doesn't hurt to ask. However, early in the season, you're more likely to find those clingstone varieties, while later in the season, you'll generally find more freestone. Most people tend to cut along that seam, but you don't want to do that. Instead, make a lateral cut along the center. With a little twist, that pit should release. With that pitted side, make another cut perpendicular to the seam. Another twist. Now you should be able to easily pop that pit right out. Since peaches have a short season, an easy way to preserve them, slice and freeze. Glitter has to be one of the worst messes to clean up. It gets everywhere and sticks to everything. But one thing I found that works really well is cooking spray. Spray a layer over your glitter mess, just over the top, not directly at it. Grab a dry paper towel and sweep it all in one direction. Clean each area in one wipe. Spray makes it come up so easy. Once all the glitter's gone, finish up with some soap and water. That'll clean up the cooking spray and get those last few pieces. For soft surfaces like carpet, use a lint roller or make your own with heavy-duty tape. Wrap the tape around your hand. This is way better than getting glitter stuck in your vacuum. Go check your earbuds right now. I'm sure they're disgusting. Use a dry toothbrush to brush out all those particles. Keep the earbud upside down so everything falls right out. Just brush gently over those mesh parts of the earbuds. And don't forget about that case too. Get all those crumbs out of there. To sanitize, you can use some rubbing alcohol. Gently rub this all over your earbud. And a cotton swab works great to get all those nooks and crannies, before and after. When glass breaks, the pieces go absolutely everywhere, and it can be really difficult to clean up those smaller shards. You may be tempted to reach for your vacuum, but don't. Little pieces can get stuck inside and damage it. Be extra careful, but you can pick up larger pieces by hand. Use a brown paper bag to catch all the pieces, so you're not just putting it directly in your trash can. A brown paper bag is great because it's a little sturdier and less likely to rip. You don't want to pick up these smaller pieces by hand, sweep them instead. Sweep slowly so you don't scatter those smaller shards. Now it may look like you're done, but there's always those finer pieces that get left behind. Here's the secret, bread. To trap those pieces, press your bread on the floor. And just like that, the bread's done its job. You can't trust everything you see on the internet, but sometimes these viral hacks actually work.